Call the meeting to order and welcome everyone to the City of Kalispell's council meeting for December 15, 2025. Can I have a roll call?
Councilor Dahlman.
Here.
Councilor Fisher. Councilor Hunter.
Here.
Councilor Nunnally.
Here.
Councilor Carlson.
Here.
Councilor Gabrielle. Councilor Graham.
Here.
Councilor Dowd.
Here.
Mayor Johnson.
Here, please all rise for the pledge. Mr. Graham, can you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I have our agenda in front of us. Look to council for approval. Mr. Dowd.
Your Honor, I move the agenda as published.
Second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor signify by stating aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Is that Miss Gabriel I hear?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. We have two items on the consent agenda this evening. The first item are the council minutes from the November 24, 2025 meeting. And the second item is award wastewater treatment plant dewatering improvement project at a guaranteed maximum price to Swank Enterprises. This item considers awarding this work package in the amount of $2,788,623 contingent upon DNRC, SRF, and DEQ review and approval. Is there any comment on the two items on the consent agenda? See none, look to council for a motion. Mr. Nunnally?
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Second.
Is that you, Ms. Carlson?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. No committee report this evening. So at this point in time, we're open the meeting for public comment on items not on the agenda. Please step forward, give your comments to the council at this time, and give us your name for the record.
Mayor, Council, my name's Cody Hunter, 12284 4th Ave West. I have an application in for the Planning Commission. I just want to put a face with a name. It's a crossroad of several different interests of mine, so just looking forward to the opportunity as the city grows, and here to answer any questions. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, sir. Other public comment? Okay, we're going to move on to the first action item this evening, which is ordinance 1948. This is the second reading, conditional use permit revocation text amendment. This ordinance considers amending Kalispell zoning text ordinance 1677, clarifying the process for revocation of an issued conditional use permit. Mr. Niger, do we want to do a quick presentation or?
Yeah, I could do a quick presentation. Second reading, the first reading passed by the council previously, so just because it is an ordinance, this is standard procedure to have a second reading. It's not on the consent agenda because it was not a unanimous vote, so therefore it is here for consideration. But generally what it does is set up a process for revocation of conditional use permits if necessary. Language is similar to other municipalities across the state, and happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff? Any public comment on ordinance 1948, second reading?
Hello, good evening. My name is Tanya Horn, and I'm the Executive Director of the Flathead Warming Center. Myself personally, as promised, and the Flathead Warming Center staff and volunteers have been working very hard to turn the page. I feel compelled to speak tonight because we do not want what happened to the Warming Center to happen to anyone else ever again. I would like to begin by thanking Jared Nygren, finalist for Kalispell City Manager, for his open communication with the Flathead Warming Center. Although we won't always agree on everything, his communication is better than no communication, as we experienced before. It's refreshing and hopeful. I'm specifically thankful for Jared taking the time to talk to us after the planning board meeting last month. That was new for us, so thank you. Please remember that despite our best efforts, there was no dialogue between us and the city through the process of the past 2 years. Process. That's what brings me back here tonight. This text amendment, this clarification of process, on its face is intended to fix the holes discovered in city code as a result of the city's action against the warming center. Having been so personally involved in this action, I keenly am aware of the damage that can be caused by a bad government process. My hope is that the city of Kalispell would amend its code in such a way that the travesty that happened to the Flathead Warming Center would never be repeated again. I honestly believe there are some good things in this text amendment, and that the city is on the right track in codifying CUP enforcement. You have created an outline of a process and a determined path of appeal. Those are things that the warming center didn't have. The amendment prescribes a standard of proof, the preponderance of evidence. That's good too. The city did not have a standard of proof in its action against the warming center. My intended purpose for tonight is for our history to never repeat itself for anyone else ever again. The city did not have evidence, and we were never presented with evidence. Evidence is not police calls for service with unnamed callers and unnamed outcomes. Evidence is not a minority of unsworn comments made before this council condemning our mission. Evidence is not horrible stories of litter, loitering, and needles presented with no corroborating proof. No video, no photos, no names, no dates, no crimes, no linking bad behavior or crimes to the Flathead Warming Center. I honestly had hoped for names, for pictures of the bad actors in the neighborhood so that we could compare who with our list of guests. So we could hold those accountable to the best of our ability. Not one name, not one picture. Yet you claimed unproven findings of facts, making the Flathead Warming Center and the entire homeless population the villain of homelessness in our community. I don't want that to happen again to anyone ever. I'm going to step into a topic that is very difficult for me. I've struggled with this for nearly 2 years, and I've wanted to put it behind me. However, bringing the CUP revocation topic up again makes me feel like I need to say something. I was raised to respect authority, and I do respect you. I want to remind you of the power that you have up there. I understand that you need to debate ideas to flush out good policy, but the things you say from up there have repercussions and echoes far beyond these chambers. I have learned that the council has a great deal of power, and I've come to the personal conclusion that you did not fully recognize the amount of power that you have. Being in this room during your hearings and work sessions were by far the most painful and horrific moments of my life. From up there, high up there, to my seat way down here, I was personally cursed at by a council member. My character was put into question over and over publicly by this council. My signature and my personal address, my family's address, was posted on the big screen multiple times. She is the villain in the homelessness. She is the villain in homelessness, and there is where she lives. That is how this process made me feel. You have the power to make the process extremely personal. This text amendment doesn't prevent that. Again, I'm not here. Again, I'm here because I don't want that to happen again to anyone else, ever. Due process demands that decisions made by government that can deprive anyone of liberty or property be made by an impartial judge. As evidenced by the personal attacks against me and the Flathead Warming Center, this council was not impartial. I have never witnessed a judge yell bullshit from the bench at a defendant to elicit cheers in the crowd, but one of you did. I have never witnessed a judge testify against a defendant, but some council members did. Some feared supporting the warming center's permit because it would cost votes. From your seat, one of you spoke of your religious opposition to low barrier shelters. A council member described how another social service provider convinced you that low barrier is bad, yet in this process you never sought another view. Terms of our mission and stories about our clients were fabricated and twisted from where you now sit. Your words matter, and wrong information and false narratives were shared from this chamber and are still repeated in our community today. The council was not an impartial judge. I don't want this to happen again to anyone, ever. What in this text amendment prevents a future council from doing the same thing again? Where are the guardrails? This text amendment grants the city the power to revoke a CUP years later based on unintended misrepresentations in the original application packet. Is this opening a future door for our history to repeat itself? The federal judge himself wrote that the city's foundational basis for the revocation of the warming center's permit was nebulous and subjective. My opinion is that this text amendment allows for future nebulous and subjective and political decisions by council. Would this text amendment keep a future city council from repeating the same mistake? This text amendment expands the strange grace of the council language AI can't find in any city code anywhere else. I struggle to understand why lawmakers would believe that government power flows from their grace. I thought the dream is limited government power, not grace of government. Having borne the brunt of such an attack, I really don't want this to happen. What happened to the warming center to happen to another CUP holder in our community. The city's actions against the warming center didn't make sense. It was not logical. Members of the council complained that there were too many homeless people on the street, and they blamed us, the very group getting homeless people off the street. The city, or county, or state, or federal for that matter, does not give any funds to our mission, yet we do serve your interest in getting homeless persons off the street. To blame us for exasperating the very thing we worked very hard to fix doesn't make sense. A city process should never be so divisive, especially with a nonprofit who reached out time and time again for partnership with the city. What in this text amendment would keep future council from doing the same thing again? Where are the guardrails? I agree the Kalispell City Code regarding CUPs and CUP revocation needs to be rewritten. But this text amendment is not a complete solution. This text amendment lacks sufficient guardrails to prevent a future council from repeating past mistakes. Businesses and nonprofits need to have security in their granted CUPs and confidence in the process that governs them. In my opinion, this text amendment, as written, will result in more litigation, not less. I respectfully ask the council to refrain from rubber stamping this amendment to policy. Instead, I urge you to do the right thing and allow the incoming council to give it full and fair consideration. Within a matter of weeks, the council will be different, and it is only fitting for the new council to be entrusted with such a significant change in policy, a change that affects the future. This issue is too important to be rushed. It deserves thoughtful deliberation and the legitimacy that such a change warrants. This text amendment is only valid during the new council's term. Advancing such a significant policy change in the final weeks of this body undermines confidence and stability. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comment? Nothing online? Okay, I'd look to council for a motion on ordinance 1948, second reading. It's in the packet. Ms. Carlson?
I found it. Your Honor, I move ordinance number 1948, an ordinance amending the Kalispell zoning ordinance, ordinance number 1677, by amending chapters 27.33, conditional use permits, by adding language that clarifies the revocation process in the new section 27.33.045, and amending sections 37.33.060, 37.33.090, and 37.33.100, and declaring an effective date.
Second.
Second, thank you, Ms. Gabriel. Discussion on the motion. Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, I guess since this thing just keeps getting drugged back to the past and the warming center and whatnot, I guess, you know, there's things that I've never really talked about in regards to that. It was a dark time. There's no doubt about that. On myself personally, I had my faith questioned from the podium as somebody that couldn't be Christian because I'm going through and representing my constituents. I know at about 6:04 p.m. before I left to come to one of our meetings, I think it was the July meeting, I had a hang-up call me a Nazi whipping boy. There's stuff on both sides of this. I took things on my side as well. I never talked about them, though, until now. Now, we're talking about conditional use permit process, and we want to talk about the word grace of council. That's semantics, whether you use the word grace or permission or whatever you want to call it. The reason why it lies with the council is because we're the ones making the decision on this stuff that lays outside the underlying zone protections. So when you have a use, I don't care what use it is. If it's a conditional use permit, if it's a laundromat, if it's a paint shop, when you have a use that is allowed through conditional use permit coming into an underlying zone, if that conditional use permit is going to create a higher standard or a higher level of use or impact to the underlying zone use, you have to protect that zone use. That's why you have it as conditions of the application, conditions of the approval. So you have to be certain that those heightened levels of impact are going to be mitigated when you give that permission to do it. And you also have to be assured that they're going to maintain. This isn't about what we just heard tonight. This is about all of them. So, you know, I support this. This has been pulled from other cities, including Whitefish, around the state. So I'm going to be supporting this. The thing is, you know, Ryan, I know you don't support this. That's fine. In a couple weeks, you can change it. But for right now, I'm still in my seat. I'm going to make this vote. I'm not going to pass it on to the next council. I'm going to do what I see fit to go and protect my constituents in their zones, you know, wherever it is they live, to go through and ensure that the underlying zone is protected from conditional use permit uses. So I'll leave it at that.
Other discussion, Mr. Dowd?
Thank you, Your Honor. Can I address staff, ask staff a
Do you have a
question?
question? Sure, go ahead and ask.
Okay. So, Mr. Nygren, is there any part of this application that we're voting on today that deviates, adds to, or detracts from the actual state law around CUP revocation?
So state law doesn't have specific CUP revocation language, but it gives the municipalities the ability to create zoning districts as such.
Okay, so
So state law gives municipalities the power to do zoning, of which CUP is part of that.
correct, and it also gives the city the leeway to adjust zoning as well within state law.
Absolutely. Create it, not create it, have zoning, not have zoning, all of the above. That's what state law allows municipalities to do.
I just want to be clear that we're, you know, we had this language in for a while till 2008. It was taken out.
Correct. It's not exact.
Exactly.
The gist of it is very similar to what we had
Sure.
previously, correct?
And it's been updated with like a formal written notice piece and the piece where they can, you know, come back to the council with a reply. I just wanted to make sure that none of this violates, alters, or adjusts the state code around zoning/CUPs.
No, it does not.
Thank you.
Mr. Dowd, I think you asked me that question last week, and that's how I interpreted your question was, does it violate state law? And it does not.
Yeah, I expanded it a little bit this week. I wanted to repeat it for the public's sake, but I also wanted to adjust it to say, are we altering state law at all as well? So I appreciate your response. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Other discussion? Mr. Hunter?
Thank you, Your Honor. Few things. One, just to respond to some of the comments made. Obviously, unfortunate if we have any insults or calls that you received, Mr. Graham. I think that's really unfortunate. But I do think we as council members, elected officials serving in a role of a quasi-judicial process have a higher standard than the general public that's coming up and speaking to us and stuff. In terms of grace, that question, as I said previously, that I don't think there's any question about the council's ability to deny conditional use permit on an initial application for any reason it sees fit with findings of fact. But once it's approved, in my opinion, you have the conditions of approval, and no one's denying that they have to meet those conditions of approval. If they violate those conditions of approval, we should be able to revoke the permit. In the case of the Warming Center, they did not violate any of the conditions of approval. And the problem that is in this text is putting in there, which is what is desired, the idea of unintentional mistakes in an application that could be, very, in my opinion, and what we saw with the Warming Center, very arbitrary. And that a permit could be revoked over that. And I know we have language in there about burden of proof and stuff, but this council was convinced it had burden of proof on the Warming Center, and I think it was patently not true that there was not burden of proof there. I think the comment from Ms. Horn was very powerful. I think she was well-spoken in her comments, made a lot of good points. And I think the Institute for Justice in their letter has highlighted a roadmap for us to get clear on this. I won't go through all the motions I did last time. People can look at the record for that, because they were not successful. Unless I hear something different, I'm not going to run us through all those motions again. But I can't support it without those changes. And I think that it behooves us to take seriously when a national organization like Institute for Justice, that is winning a lot of cases across the country, won a case against us in a preliminary injunction case. And I know there's a belief that somehow the judge was biased and it wasn't like a real, convincing win or whatever. I feel very differently. I think the judge was very clear as to the opinion. I think it made sense. And I think this is something that the Institute for Justice, they're winning cases like this across the country. They have, a Harvard-trained and University of Texas-trained attorney on their staff. We should take that seriously. I think give it more consideration than what I saw at the last meeting with consideration of the motions I put forward based on Institute for Justice's letter. So anyways, I will not be supporting this because I don't think it's up to standard of what we need to see with this in terms of making sure that we don't have a repeat of what we saw with the Warming Center.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Any other discussion? Have a roll call vote.
Counselor Dahlman,
No.
Counselor Hunter,
No.
Counselor Nunley,
Yes.
Counselor Carlson,
Aye.
Counselor Gabrielle,
Aye.
Counselor Graham,
Aye.
Counselor Dowd,
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, motion carries. Second item, Resolution 6304, Autumn Creek Subdivision Preliminary Plat Extension. This resolution considers granting a 2-year plat extension for a subdivision located on Hathaway Lane north of Highway 2 West. Mr. Nygren?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, and I'll take over my planning duties here for a minute. For Resolution 6304, this is a request by JCM Development to extend a preliminary plat for Autumn Creek subdivision for 2 years. The property is located on Hathaway Lane, north of Highway 2 West, and has a total of 28 residential sublots, lots and sublots on approximately 8.4 acres. See here, get to my next slide. The preliminary plat for Autumn Creek was approved January 4th, 2021 by Resolution 6010. Condition number 2 of the preliminary plat states that the plat shall be valid for a period of 3 years from the date of approval, which is in accordance with the Kalispell subdivision regulations. Therefore, the original expiration date for the plat was January 4th, 2024. The subdivision regulations also provide for an additional 2-year extension request, and the applicant is requested the first extension on November 6, 2023, extending the expiration date to January 4th, 2026. So they are now submitting their second and final preliminary plat request. I would say that they're actually very close to final plat. It'll likely come within the next month or two. Most of the infrastructure is in place, but this just, given the timing and the number of documents have to be put in place for a final plat, this will just get them enough time to get all that completed. So happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff? Is there any public comment on Resolution 6304?
Doug Petmeyer, TD&H Engineering, 450 Corporate Drive here in Kalispell. Yeah, just to add to what Jared mentioned, we are done. The improvements are all constructed. We've done all the walkthrough, but as you guys know, you have to submit a final plat application 60 days in advance, and we weren't going to meet that. So we have been working through, the final thing was the subdivision improvement agreement. That's been reviewed and approved by staff. So developer is literally just getting that pulled together. As soon as that is ready, we will be submitting. So I'm hoping actually this week, but they are fully motivated to get this submitted and hopefully start putting product on the market. So I'm available for any questions if you guys have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Look to council for a motion. Mr. Nunley?
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to approve Resolution 6304, a resolution approving a 2-year extension to the preliminary plat of Autumn Creek subdivision.
Second.
Second. Thank you, Ms. Carlson. Discussion on the motion? Mr. Hunter?
Thank you, Your Honor. Way back when this was last before us, I did vote against it due to concerns about the impact on the wetlands on the property and the crossing of the access road. I had a concern, particularly with the fact that there was an adjacent driveway that could have been used as access potentially with more effort towards getting that with the neighbor. So anyways, just to be consistent with that, I know obviously this is already near final plat, but just be consistent with that vote, I'm going to vote against it.
Any other discussion? Have a roll call vote.
Counselor Dahlman?
Aye.
Counselor Hunter?
No.
Counselor Nunley?
Aye.
Counselor Carlson?
Aye.
Counselor Gabrielle?
Aye.
Counselor Graham?
Aye.
Counselor Dowd?
Aye.
Mayor Johnson?
Aye, motion carries. Next item, city manager employment agreement. This item considers approval of an employment agreement with Jared Nygren for the position of city manager. We'll look to the city attorney on this one. So you
Thank
don't
you.
have to talk in the third person, Mr. Nygren.
Mayor and council, as you're aware, we've been in the process to hire a city manager. Through that process, you gave me some direction to negotiate with Mr. Nygren for the city manager contract. In your packet, you have a copy of in your packet, you have a copy of the contract. In the memo, you have the salient terms. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions for staff? Any public comment on city manager employment agreement? No, seeing none. Look to council for a motion.
Whoever.
I'm looking for Mr. Dowd because this is a government agreement. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move Kalispell City Council approve the employment agreement with Mr. Nygren.
Second.
Second. Discussion on the motion. None other
just-
than the discussion that we had at multiple meetings.
I guess what I would say is, I mean, I fully support Mr. Nygren. You know, I've watched him for the last 11, 12 years through my time on the planning board, and you know, very impressed with his abilities to do his job. And you know, several times he's filled in as acting city manager. He's now interim city manager. I was very happy to see, you know, through the process of how this transpired, you know, where he came in with ranking, and it didn't surprise me, but it's one thing that I can go and grab onto moving forward after coming off this council, that I have a large degree of support and hope in. So I'm really glad to be able to make this motion.
Mr. Hunter?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I share those feelings as well. I have complete confidence in Mr. Nygren as our next city manager. I think there's a lot of value in having somebody who is intimately familiar with our city government, how it's operating, issues in the community, challenges, has been involved in those things. As I've said that, in some of our previous meetings, that having on the resume, the kind of involvement and leadership he's shown on the Parkline Trail, on downtown plan, and so much more that we have done as a city is a stellar resume. And would be competitive and put him to the top in any city that he would apply to, in my opinion. And so we're lucky to have him. I look forward to working with him in the future on our future challenges. And I think he's very creative in solving issues and addressing the challenges. So look forward to it.
Anyone else? Okay. I think I said it earlier, so, no, I'm supportive of the contract. And I think you said it very well, Mr. Graham, the ranking, the process that we went through. It's always nice when you see somebody grow up within the organization and develop the skill set to take over in such an important role. So I'm looking forward to voting in the affirmative in this, and I'm going to ask for a roll call vote.
Counselor Dahlman?
Aye.
Counselor Hunter?
Aye.
Counselor Nunley?
Aye.
Counselor Carlson?
Big time aye.
Counselor Gabrielle?
Absolutely aye.
Counselor Graham?
Aye.
Counselor Dowd?
Aye.
Mayor Johnson?
Aye, motion carries. Now we just hope he signs it with us. Okay, Planning Commission appointment. Kind of had my mind made up, but I gotta admit, has anyone ever seen anyone come in the night we've had an application and actually show an interest? Every now and then
Right.
it happens. So, I would like to make the nomination for Mr. Hunter to be appointed to the Planning Commission. Not this Mr. Hunter.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
You're stepping down.
That's my recommendation. Look to council for motion. Mr. Dowd?
Your Honor, I move that we approve your recommendation for Cody Hunter to be appointed to the Planning Commission.
Second.
Second. Thank you, Ms. Carlson. All in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Hunter. I hope it's something you don't regret.
I'll talk with them.
City manager report. Okay, Mr. Nygren.
Yes, Mayor and Council, just a reminder here, no meeting on the 22nd. So for some of you, it actually was the last official meeting. So congratulations on that. I would say as well, the council seat is advertised. We have got applications started to come in that is opened till the January 4th. So still some time there. And lastly, just wanted to say thank you for the trust you instilled in me. And obviously, you mentioned we've been together 11 years. Certainly, I feel like I'm only in this position because of, the guidance and leadership I've seen from you, and certainly looking forward to working with future councils as well. So that's it.
Hey, sir. Council. Mr. Dowd, I'm just going to come this way. Go ahead, Mr. Dowd.
Yeah, I just have a brief comment. So we talked a little bit about CUPs earlier today, and there is one thing I just want to make super clear. Everybody makes mistakes, and you might write something unintentional in your application, but you have to understand that we view that application and base our decision on whether we're going to approve or not approve the CUP based on what's in the application and in the conditions. So I think it's an integral part. I'm glad we're putting those together now that when we're filing with the county, which is one of our biggest problems we ran into with the court case. And I just wanted to make it clear to everybody that this isn't breaking new ground. There's a specific line in every CUP that says it cannot have a negative impact on the neighborhood, right? And when we have complaints from neighbors, especially when we have hundreds of complaints from neighbors, we have to, as a council, be very serious about looking into that because we represent those people, right? So whether you approved of what we did or not, it doesn't matter. We looked into it. That was our job, and we made the decisions we did. You know, and this is how things have fallen out. So I appreciate everybody's patience on this. I hope that I never have to hear about it again. It was the most horrible time in my existence on council, and I'm on my second term. So I do appreciate the public's patience with this. I do hope that if anybody has questions about what we're doing with the CUP revocation process, please contact your councilman of your ward or you know, one of them, and we'll be happy to talk about it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Dowd. Mr. Hunter?
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to recognize that this is the last full meeting of several members of council, and I just wanted to address each of you briefly. And I'll start with Ms. Dahlman. You've been a good friend, and I've appreciated our conversations about the issues that we face on council, and always appreciated getting your input on things and the good questions you've always asked help me think through topics. So I'm gonna miss you on the council.
It's very kind, thank you.
Yeah. And Mr. Graham.
Roast.
Positive things only. Positive. No, you've been a real leader on the council. I mean, undoubtedly. And we haven't always seen eye to eye on things, but I always appreciated that you were going to bring a strong argument for your perspective. And I knew you were representing a lot of folks' perspective on that issue. And so I always appreciated that leadership that you brought and making me think through my positions and really challenge me on some of my thoughts. And we've had conversations about the value of that, of differing opinions and having that kind of discussion and debate and how that makes for better government. And I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Ms. Carlson, you have a clear love for this community, and I've always appreciated that you come from that intent of your love for the community, and also, I've appreciated that I think everybody shares the respect and admiration for our staff and their professionalism, but you've always voiced it. And I've always appreciated that. You've always inserted your appreciation for staff during a lot of our discussions, and you always come from a place of heart. It's clear that you're always acting from your heart, and I've always appreciated that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Mayor Johnson, we've seen some.
Here comes the real word.
We've seen some challenging things before this council in my time that I've shared being on the council with you, and you've always provided a steady leadership. It's something that I've admired and I hope to emulate in that seat starting next year. Not only that steady leadership, but also sometimes the issues have gotten tense, and we've had difficult discussions, and you have a great sense of humor. And I've appreciated that you've always inserted that humor when needed to lighten the mood and keep things as light as possible. And then lastly, I've always appreciated you let the debate happen and kind of let it flow and kind of only jump in towards the end with your own thoughts. And I know that it's deliberate. I don't know if I'll be able to emulate that part. I'll try, but I've always appreciated it.
Learn from what you saw.
Yes. Yeah. So I appreciate all you for your service to the community and wish you best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you. Appreciate that, sir. Yeah. And then coming this way.
Yeah, I guess what I would say is thank you again. And since the topic is just kind of fresh and everything tonight, and And I would say, you know, something I've not ever said before, but I just apologizing for representing the needs of my constituents, especially in my ward. In any kind of a situation like that, it's not something that I would ever go and apologize for. I know I would apologize to the rest of the council. It was a hard time, you know. It's like making sausage. Is what government is. It's like making sausage, you know. So anyhow, on the 5th, you know, there'll be more things for me to go through and say, so I'm just gonna keep it short and simple. But the other thing I just wanted to say was just to tell everybody Merry Christmas.
And I would just like to say thank you to everyone. I don't want to get mushy. That'll be 2 weeks from now. But Merry Christmas to everyone and have a great holiday.
Thank you, Ms. Carlson. Ms. Gabriel's online. Go ahead, Ms.
I
Gabriel.
am. Thank
There
you.
you go.
I think my hand is up, but I've lost video, so my connection may be sketchy. I also want to thank everyone. This has been a very diverse council, and it's I think actually much more interesting when there are so many different views and opinions. And while I don't always agree, I very much appreciate those opinions. I also wanted to throw in that on the planning board appointment, I do certainly support the appointment, but I want to make sure and do a shout out for Mr. Van Allen, who I've known since he was in middle school, and actually hope that he will try again, because I think he'd be a wonderful member to join the planning board at some point. So with that, Merry Christmas. I'm very glad to be back in the Valley after a 10-week absence, and I appreciate all of your support in helping me for that during that time and keeping me in the loop. And last, I am very excited for Mr. Nygren to officially be appointed as a city manager. I've enjoyed working with him the entire time he's been here, and I look forward to our future, and would also wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gabriel. I think just going to make a couple quick comments. Thank public comment we heard. We have great power up here. Well, we do. It is the form of representative government, but I'd like to remind everybody, with great power comes a greater responsibility. And we have to remember that as elected officials serving a city, we serve more than just the interest groups where we have special interest, special connections. We have to serve the broader community as a whole. And with that, there are times we have to make decisions that aren't easy. And what a lot of people don't see is the agitation that goes on personally within each of us as we wrestle through the decision-making process, as we're reading the material, as we're taking public comment, and when it gets to the point where we have to make a vote, that weight can bear very heavily on your shoulders. Mr. Hunter, it'll bear especially heavy on your shoulders, because when you see a 4-4 tie rolling at you and you haven't quite made up your mind yet, you're still struggling yourself as the mayor, that weight gets even more. I'd like to say, if we look back in that bottom right-hand corner over, there's a picture of a much younger me. I think my hair was all brown then, and I had all my hair. I served 12 years. My hair is gray. It's thinner. And to be honest, if I served another 4 years, I'd end up looking like Sid. I just couldn't do it, Sid. There can't be two of us.
4 years, so.
It would be like bookends, and we can't do that. So anyway, no, as Ms. Gabriel said, it is a diverse council. And yeah, there are some of us that we see pretty much eye to eye. Mr. Hunter, you're my biggest challenge, but I appreciate it. because it makes me think, it makes me see things from a different perspective. Mr. Dowd, more often than not, we agree. We just somehow can't quite get there because I still believe that the reason we have a government is so we can live as a community, because I still have that jaded thought that, yep, people may live more in their own self-interest and not care about their neighbors. We need to have some of these sideboards. But by and large, we agree an awful lot. But it is always interesting to listen to the different arguments. And I just want the public to understand as we make these decisions, the work that goes in front. A lot of times as a council, we'll look at things and it looks like, oh, they just approved it just like that. Well, we put in hours of work ahead of time with work sessions, with other special meetings, with city staff, reviewing packets, taking public comment. And for the last 12 years, it's been a major part of my life. I think I don't know, probably 2 to 3 hours a day on top of my normal job. And I am thankful to have that time back. So I feel like a senior in high school, getting ready to head to the Kager. So with that, we're going to adjourn the meeting.